Bueno, muy buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Santiago López y soy estudiante de la tecnología en análisis de costos y presupuestos del ITM del primer semestre. En este caso les traigo la entrega del reto de la semana 7, en la cual elegí la opción número 3, que es leer un artículo del Science Direct en inglés de cualquier tema de los que estaban allá, que son contabilidad, finanzas, costos, riesgos financieros, modelos matemáticos y estadísticos para finanzas y contabilidad. Cualquiera de esos, entonces elegí, en este caso, este. Entonces, let's start. Extreme temperature shocks and firms financial distress. Okay, the abstract. Utilizing panel dataset of Chinese A-share licensed firms during 2001 and 2021, we examine whether and how extreme temperature shocks affect financial distress. Our empirical findings show that extreme temperature shocks have a robust positive effect on financial distress. Further analysis reveals two channels through which extreme temperature shocks exacerbate financial distress, reducing firms' total factor productivity and tightening financing constraints. Moreover, this effect is stronger among firms with small market capitalization, vulnerability to climate change, poor corporate governance, and a lower portion of intangible assets. Additional tests reveal that the disclosure of temperature extremes during the workday has a higher effect on financial distress overall. Our results shed additional light on the important role of extreme temperature shocks in incorporated risk management and government decision making. Okay, first, the introduction. The sharp rise in the frequency of extreme temperatures worldwide poses a substantial risk to humanity and economic organizations. According to the annual report released by the United Nations in 2023, extreme weather has disrupted progress towards the Sustainable Development Goals (SDGs) and hindered global efforts to combat hunger, poverty, and ill health. With this in mind, the topic of climate change has attracted the attention of economists and has documented a wide range of potential impacts of extreme temperatures. For example, temperature extremes have been shown to reduce capital stocks and labor supply, increase the cost of capital, and impair corporate revenues. Despite these studies, how extreme temperature shocks affect firms' financial distress remains an understudied issue. From the existing literature, we can infer that extreme temperatures may be a significant factor influencing firms' financial distress. Extreme temperatures can lead to the revaluation of company assets, as well as a reduction in labor productivity and supply. First, firms may have to expend more on operating costs to compensate for and recover from such adverse impacts, such as the replacement of facilities and the relocation of activities, which is detrimental to the firm's profit, profitability and results in financial distress. In addition, the adverse effects of extreme temperatures also raise concerns for banks regarding the solvency of firms, leading to reduced access to credit and increased financial costs, which can use firms to experience liquidity difficulties through direct or indirect means, thereby exacerbating financial distress. Therefore, we posit that extreme temperature shocks will significantly increase the possibility of firms' financial distress. To test this hypothesis, we use a total of 45,000 sorry 45,214 firm year observation of 4,284 Chinese licensed for firms from 2001 to 2021. Extreme temperature shocks are the composite indicator defined as the subsidiary location weighted average of sea level extreme temperature shocks. This measure is in accordance with the fact that firms face different levels of extreme temperature shocks depending on their geographic location and asset distribution. For example, if a firm operates nationwide, its subsidiaries may encounter temperature-related adverse effects in their respective location, and this location specific extreme temperature risk undoubtedly have distinct impacts. By this way, we can obtain extreme temperature shocks at the firm level based based on this novel indicator. Our primary results suggest that extreme temperatures have a positive and significant impact on financial distress, measured by O score. Specifically, a one, a one standard deviation increase in extreme temperature shocks leads to a 9.04% rise in a firm's financial distress. A series of tests are conducted to confirm the robustness of the underlying results. First, we replace the independent variable with the number of days of extreme temperature experienced by the firm and replace the proxy financial stress with distance to default score and estimate score respectively. Second, we perform regression using alternative samples to verify the robustness of our results. Third, we conduct retests using a propensity score matching approach, which helps to ensure that our results are not driven by other firms' characteristics that may be associated with firm specific climate risk. Finally, we conduct a two-stage least squares test to address endogeneity by incorporating both the firm's exposure to extreme temperatures and the population density of its location. Overall, these results also support our hypothesis. We investigate two potential mechanisms through which extreme temperature shocks affect firms' financial distress: total factor productivity and financing contrasts. The first channel is total factor productivity, which takes into account both labor and capital productivity. Previous research has shown that extreme temperatures not only reduce worker efficiency and impair machine performance, but also increase firms' administrative and operating costs, thereby affecting their total factor productivity. Lower productivity brought by extreme temperature shocks ultimately leads to poor business performance, which is detrimental to capital accumulation and reduce their competitive their competitiveness in the marketplace, accelerating their shrinkage and stress risk. We employ the methodology proposed by Gianetti et al. 2015 to calculate the total fighter productivity. The empirical findings indicate that as firms are increasingly exposed to extreme temperature shocks, their total factor productivity declines significantly and they experience more severe financial distress. The second channel we explore is the financing constraint. In China, the primary source of financing for firms is bank credit. The adverse impacts of extreme temperature shocks could increase credit risk, leading to a growing number of banks incorporating firms' environmental risk as a key creditor creditor in their lending decision. Therefore, the more extreme temperature shocks firms are exposed to, the more financing constraints they face. Financing constraints undermine the stability of firms' cash flows. Undermine the stability of firms' cash flows. Sorry, impede the adjustment of firms' capital structure and ultimately exacerbate financial distress. We capture financial constraints through the SA index of Handlock and Pierce 2010, and results demonstrate that firms experiencing more extreme temperature shocks also face greater financing constraints and more severe financial distress. Furthermore, we explore how firm characteristics affect the positive correlation between extreme temperature shocks and financial distress in three ways. First, it is reasonable to assume that small firms and startups are more vulnerable to weather related risk. These firms typically have limited resources to mitigate the physical and transformational risk posed by temperature changes, making them less capable of hedging against weather risk compared to larger firms. Second, extreme temperatures hurt firms primarily by damaging assets and disrupting operations. Thus, industries with extended supply chains and large physical assets and infrastructure are particularly dependent on mild weather and are likely to be adversely affected by extreme temperatures. Third, affect corporate governance, reduce the likelihood of business failure because it enables timely access to information regarding firms' risk and fin- facilitates appropriate action to mitigate them. Lastly, intangible assets not only face less impact from climate risk but also facilitate firms' rapid recovery in the aftermath of disasters. And as an example of climate risk, extreme temperatures are found to have a positive effect on financial stress, which could be mitigated when firms possess a higher proportion on of intangible assets. Empirical results further validate our conjecture. Finally, we examine the role of extreme temperatures on weekdays. The magnitude of the main effects should vary depending on first operational sensitivity to extreme temperatures. If the observed increase in financial distress is driven by productivity, given that firms typically operate on the weekdays, we remove temperature extremes during holidays and re-estimate the baseline equation. The effect of extreme temperatures during weekdays is clearly stronger compared to the estimates from the mean regression. Bueno, ahora les voy a hacer un resumen chiquito de lo que decía un poco ese artículo, ¿cierto? Lo que nos dice es que, bueno, ellos utilizaron un conjunto de datos de panel de empresas chinas que cotizan en bolsa de los años 2001 a 2021 para hacer un análisis de cómo los choques de temperatura extrema afectan a la situación financiera y de qué manera. Bueno, los hallazgos de ellos durante esos años y en esas empresas, porque obviamente, pues si cogemos una parte de las empresas no significa que toda la bolsa tenga esa misma proporción o esas mismas cosas que le suceden. Entonces, en base a las empresas que ellos escogieron de China, los hallazgos mostraron que los choques de temperatura extrema tienen un efecto muy positivo y significativo en la situación financiera. Ellos también hicieron un hallazgo un poco más profundo para poder evaluar eso, ya que pues la verdad yo digo que sí es un tema interesante para la situación financiera, ya que pues uno no puede controlar eso y eso puede pasar de un momento a otro, entonces siempre hay que estar preparado para eso, ¿cierto? El análisis más profundo reveló dos canales a través de los cuales los choques de temperatura extrema como que intensifican un poco la situación financiera. Sería la reducción de la productividad total de los factores de las empresas y el endurecimiento de las restricciones de financiación. Además, en este estudio, ellos se dieron cuenta que ese efecto es más fuerte entre las empresas con una capitalización de mercado reducida y vulnerabilidad al cambio climático, también con una gobernanza corporativa eficiente y una menor proporción de activos intangibles. Bueno, eso sería un poco de lo que nos dijo este documento. Muy feliz tarde, que a todos les vaya muy bien, Dios los bendiga.